Yo! Welcome back to Containing Luxury. I'm Babyface, I know it's weird. Soon you'll get used to it. On this episode, we are going to be going over what are the tools you absolutely need to conquer your container build. Let's get started. Okay, so what tools do we need to get our container build accomplished? Disclaimer, I know there's gonna be a million people that chime in. Oh, you could use this and it would be a lot faster. So I'm trying to think of like, okay, I'm in a country and I can only pack what I absolutely need to get my job done. That's what we're gonna be covering. There are tons of different ways to do different things on the build. So I'm trying to cover like, if I don't own anything and I have to go out and buy these things, like what are the least amount of tools I can purchase to get this container build done? I just kind of ran through the entire build in my mind, and like there'd be stages where it'd be like, okay, I would use this, but if I don't have that, can I do it with this and this? So it might just be slower. So that's what we're gonna be covering. Very first thing, a drill. It could be virtually any drill. We covered some of the combo kits. You can watch that video. We'll have a link somewhere for that video as well in the description. So your drill is gonna be vital because in certain applications, if you don't have a nail gun or you need to screw through the metal and you know, like self-tappers might take an hour of like pre-drilling or like not pre-drilling and burning through self-tappers. So if you need to pre-drill something and put a screw at an angle, like your drill is gonna be a big friend of yours. Now you could make do with only this, but if you can add an impact in, it will make your life a lot easier. Not only because, you know, if I'm up on a ladder and I'm pre-drilling, let's say putting in the studs on the side, on the exterior, I'm gonna have one that has a drill bit on it, so I can pre-drill, and then I'm gonna grab this one and it's gonna have my tip that's gonna be setting my screw to put it in. Impact drivers are nice. They're really gonna set a screw a lot easier. You can do it the old school way and just use a drill for everything. It's a little bit more work, but it would work. Obviously, always the basics. So I think I actually have them in my pocket still because I ran out to my truck. Pencil, marker, tape measure. Can't do anything on a construction site, so don't even bother showing up to work if you do not have a marker, pencil, and tape measure. Now, tools that usually go along with those are going to be your square, which I know is funny because it's a triangle, but it's your square. So the square is gonna help you with everything, layout of interior framing walls, squaring up, you know, cabinetry, a million different things. So with your square, when you're trying to do layouts or you need to make a straight cut or you need to do a 45-degree cut, that's all gonna be done with this, but you could make a mark of a square line and then you'd wanna use a chalk line. I don't have a chalk line with me because it's on one of my construction sites. Depending on if you're doing metal framing or wood framing on the inside, this is either going to be vital or a nice item to have because there might be some stuff that you might use your snips for anyway. But if you're doing metal framing, this is vital. You need a snip. Metal framing is just super fast. It's also ultra lightweight in comparison to your wood framing. Wood framing is going to be more structural strength. The metal has virtually no structural strength, but it's quick and it's lightweight. And snips are going to be essential for that. Check out our framing video if you need to know how to use them. So that's my snips. You may or may not need that. If you're doing wood framing, you definitely need this. Even if you're not doing wood framing, I would have a circular saw. This is gonna come in handy for a million different things you might have to cut. You can also pull the blade off and you could put, you know, depending on if you're doing hardy siding or something, or you're doing cedar siding, then you just use a trim blade on it. If you're doing hardy, you can pull this blade off and put a hardy board blade on it. So circular saw is gonna come in handy at a lot of different steps. Then we've got angle grinder. I don't have a wheel on this right now, but the angle grinder is just gonna have a little wheel. Normally it has a protective disc. Guys in the construction industry tend to pull off our guards because they get in the way. I do not recommend doing that, so do not do that. Do as I say, not as I do. right? That's how it works. The angle grinder is probably the most versatile tool on the job site. Like, I use this all the time. You could use it to grind down a piece of concrete, depending on what wheel you have on it. This, you can do all of your cutouts for all of your windows. So you put a cutoff wheel on it, you'll burn through the cutoff wheels quite a bit, so make sure you get like a, you know, 2 10-packs or something at least, because you're gonna go through a ton of these grinding wheels. But this is virtually gonna eliminate the need for a Sawzall. In some situations, I might be like, oh man, I don't have my Sawzall on the job site. I go and I grab my angle grinder because I can virtually do everything I can do with a Sawzall with this. You have to sometimes get a little tricky with it, but this is vital to a container build. You're gonna need this for tons of your metal work. Quick chime in, I almost forgot. Caffeine. You can't build a container home without caffeine, everyone knows that. Make sure to hit the link in the description. Blackout Coffee, proud sponsor of Containing Luxury, our channel here, teaching you how to build container homes. But make sure to go online, grab some coffee, some swag, and show the support for them supporting us. Anyway, back to the video. Caulk gun. Bunch of different ones. You can get super cheap ones. This happens to be like a more expensive one. All your different sealants, all the different penetrations throughout the side, glues, all that kind of stuff. You're going to need a caulk gun. Another luxury item, you can be done doing different ways, but for the low price cost, I would get a string line so that when you're setting stuff up or you're trying to, you know, lay something out, even when it comes to your foundation or a lot of different steps, even your siding, you can string a line for a reference point that you can constantly measure off of. So this is a really common thing that's gonna come out a lot of times on job sites. So that's about it for necessities. This is just a larger square. So if I just wanted to reference, like if you wanted to like only buy 1 square, you technically could do this. And it's like in between a standard square and a framing square. So, I mean like a T-square, not even T-square. It's just a bigger square. I have one in my truck I would need to grab, but it's virtually, they have like a framing square that's like a huge L, and that's better for laying out walls because you have a longer leg on it so that you put this little tiny square. If the wall's bent at all, you don't really have a reference. So the longer the legs you have on it, the better your line is. But you might just want a couple of different levels, a couple of different squares so that when you're laying stuff out, you need another hand, you're squaring something, your buddy's squaring something, but I think I could build the whole thing with just that. If I had all that, I could make do. Add in a ladder. You need a ladder. But if you only want to buy 1 ladder, you could get I'll put a link in the description, but I call them tricky ladders, but I think they're called multi-ladders or something, but they fold out into an extension. They can go into like a big A-frame ladder. You can shorten the legs on one side so that if you're on a hill, you know, so they do a lot of cool things. Now, they're not lightweight, so they're a pain to lug around, but they're a 1 ladder does all pretty much. So if you only wanted to purchase one and you have none of these tools, like this is the bare minimum. Go get that 1 ladder, which will allow you to do the job, and it will get you up to the top. It will get you, you can make it smaller. It will get you to everything inside. So that's probably like the 1 ladder. But then if you have a little bit more budget, grab like a 6-foot fiberglass ladder too, because then 2 people have ladders and the 6 foot's gonna be a lot easier to lug around for regular stuff. Other than that, I think that's it. I can't think of anything else. If I missed something, hit a link in the description. Hopefully I didn't. Other than that, we will see you guys on the next one. Make sure to hit that subscribe button.